I had my quarter life crisis deep in the heart of Texas on the I-35 highway, which cuts Austin right down the middle. I was 25. I was on my way to a catering gig, and I simply burst into tears in my car. My quarter life crisis revolved around money, hence the outfit. I was dead broke. I was working in a job I hated. Catering was not my calling. And I was watching all of my friends literally move past me in life. They were getting engaged. They were buying their first homes. They were getting promotions. And I was crying myself to sleep every night over my $400 a month student loan payment. I was unhappy. And I wasn't alone. According to the American Psychological Association, 72% of Americans report feeling some kind of financial anxiety in the previous month. Raise your hand if that 72% includes you. Yeah, we're not alone. After my quarter life crisis, after my little breakdown, I sat down and I looked at my numbers. I was making $20,000 a year. I had a $400 a month student loan payment. I had $500 a month to pay in rent. I looked at my life and I thought, man, this has been consistent. Today, I'm a money nerd who helps people get their money right. But growing up, I grew up in a home with a lot of financial anxiety. I grew up in Massachusetts, shout out my New Englanders, which is a very high cost of living area. And I grew up with a single mom who was putting herself through grad school while raising 3 kids. We were on food stamps for a period of my childhood. And my earliest money memory is of being in the grocery store and hearing my mom say, "Put that back, we can't afford it." Now, if you've ever had an experience in your childhood that revolves around money, those can stick with you. And I remember being invited to a friend's birthday party and not having enough money to buy that friend a gift. And that kind of shame, that kind of financial anxiety can be really difficult to escape. I thought that college would be my escape. I'm a millennial, and we were told by everyone, go to college, get a degree. That is your path to security. Did anyone else hear that? Any millennials? Yeah. And I was like, okay, bet, I got this. I can go to college, I can get a degree, and then I'll finally escape this financial anxiety. Well, I'm the only one of my siblings who's gone to college. And in order to do that, I had to take out student loans. Single mom, not a lot of money for college. And this student loan debt ensured that I was kept in a cycle of financial anxiety well into my 20s. Does anyone have student loans or had student loans? Yeah, it's a tale as old as time. I remember looking at my bills, looking at my $20K a year income, looking at my $400 a month student loan bill, my $500 a month rent, having to add utilities on top of that, and thinking, oh my God, I'm in the same place that I was as a kid, even though I got my degree. Even though after college, I moved to Austin, Texas, halfway across the country, I was still in the same place financially that I had been as a kid. Nothing had changed, even though all these things had changed. Financial anxiety. It hits you like a brick, right? You have these years of memories, of experiences that you carry around with you. And it leads into habits as an adult. Did you know that the average American household makes $60,000 a year total? Not exactly Bezos money, right? And yet a lot of us are spending like Bezos. The average American will buy 68 new pieces of clothing per year. In fact, 70% of the US economy, and we're number one, baby, we're the biggest economy in the world, 70% of the US economy is consumer spending. That's you and me, okay? That's our money, 70%. So we're spending like Bezos, but we're feeling all of this anxiety. There's a disconnect. And I was feeling that in my own life. When I first moved to Austin, I didn't have any friends. Okay, I didn't know anyone. So I was a waitress, which meant that I mostly worked evenings and weekends, and I had a ton of free time during the day. And I didn't have any friends, didn't have anything to do. So where did I end up? Target. Because no matter where you go in the United States, Target is the same. Target is beautiful. It is comforting. For most of us, consumerism is comforting because you can walk into Target here in Charlotte and it's going to be the same as that Target in Austin, right? You can walk into a McDonald's in Portland, Oregon, and it's going to be the same as a McDonald's in Boston, Massachusetts. It's familiar and it soothes us. And when you have something in your life stressing you out, being soothed is what we want. I once worked with a coaching client who spent $1,800 a month on eating out. $1,800 a month for a household of 2 people on restaurants. I know, I see your face. It's jaw-dropping information. Now, it's really easy for us to stand here, jaws open, and think, oh my God, what the hell? But it also kind of makes sense. Remember what I said, 70% of the US economy is consumer spending, and 72% of us are feeling financial anxiety. So these clients of mine, they had high-stress jobs. They loved food. We all love food. And they hadn't started saving for retirement yet. They had credit card debt. And these 2 facts stressed them out. They didn't understand how the stock market worked, and they hated looking at their credit card debt balances. So instead, they went out to eat. They were using spending as a way to hide from the financial truth of their lives. And I was doing the same when I was 23, 24, 25, hanging out in Austin, sliding up to Target 4 times a week. I was using shopping as a way to hide from the unpleasant truths of my life, that I didn't have any friends, that I was dead broke, and that I genuinely believed I was going to be buried with a bill from Sally Mae that said, payment due. I was using shopping and over-consuming as a way to hide. And a lot of us do that. So after I had my breakdown on I-35, I remember I went home. I lived with 3 roommates. That's how my rent was only $500, 3 roommates. And I looked one of my roommates dead in the eye, and I was like, I got to change my life. I got to change my life. And it was only after I changed my money that the rest of my life began to change. I decided to go full Fight Club. When Brad Pitt got cast in Fight Club, he had to get down to 5% body fat. And in order to do that, he worked out 7 days a week, and he ate fewer than 1,800 calories a day. And if you've seen the movie, you've seen the results. I decided to do the same thing, just for my money, not for my abs. I put myself on a Target ban. No more Target. I stopped going out to eat. I stopped drinking. I even stopped driving for the most part. If something was a mile or closer to my house, I walked there. In fact, one time, after a catering gig in downtown Austin at the South by Southwest Festival, I walked the 4 miles back to my house because a cab would have been $50 and I didn't want to pay it. I redirected the flow of money in my life. Instead of my scant extra money going to Target, I started applying that to my student loan debt. And guess what? My balance started to drop. Instead of drinking $40 worth of vodka every weekend with my friends, I started putting that money in my savings account. And guess what? It started to grow. I had changed my life by harnessing the power of my money. I had redirected the flow in my life, and everything about my life started to change. Everything. Let me give you a few examples. I was walking more, which meant I actually got to know my neighborhood and some of my neighbors because I wasn't zipping by them in my 2009 Kia Rio anymore. I was on foot. Hey, Sue. Hey, Mike. I was building community. I had all this free time during the day as a waitress, so I started volunteering as a way to make the hours go by. And turns out I made a lot of friends. I had stopped driving as much, which meant that I wasn't putting as much carbon emissions into the universe. right? So I was living more sustainably. All of these things in my life changed because I redirected the flow of money in my life. And this is something that I think a lot of us don't ever think about. We spend money, it leaves, and we're like, okay, that's gone now, right? But no. If we harness the power that our money has, we can change our lives and we can change the world. I was broke, right? I was making $20K a year, but I redirected the flow of my money. I changed my life, and all of a sudden, I was debt-free. I was living more sustainably, and I had friends. I had people that I could invite over and say, hey, you want to rewatch Gilmore Girls? It's cozy time, okay? And it was amazing. This is the power of our money. Now, we're coming up on holiday season. Statistically, we do the most shopping between November and December every year, annually. You can look this up. This is the shopping time, and it's very, very easy to get caught up in what I call the spending smog. The spending smog tells us, hey, if you buy this thing, you'll finally be happy. If you buy this thing, you'll finally be skinny. You can only find happiness through buying things. So go ahead and buy this. It's on sale. It's a deal. The spending smog obscures the truth of our financial situations, and it's how people end up spending $1,800 a month at restaurants when they have credit card debt and they want to be investing. The spending smog, it blocks us. In order to avoid the spending smog, and in order to harness the power in your own life, I want you to do two things. After you've heard all of these beautiful speakers, of course. I want you to identify the biggest financial stressor in your life. For me, it used to be my student loans. They kept me up at night. I thought I was going to die with Sally Mae. I thought I was going to be buried with Sally Mae. I really did. I identified that and I said, okay, what can I do to change this? I can stop going to Target. And I redirected that cash towards my loans. I want you to do the same thing. What is your student loan debt? What is your Sally Mae? And then I want you to take a second and think of some ways you can redirect the cash in your life. How can you harness the power of money that is in your life to change your life? Like I mentioned, holiday season is upon us, so this is also a great time to think about how we can use our money to change the world around us for other people. It's great to create change in our own lives. I love doing that. And also, it's great to create change in other people's lives. So for example, you got to buy a gift for your niece or your nephew, right? You can go to Target. This is not a PSA on never going to Target again. You can go to Target and you can get a gift at the Charlotte Target that you can also find at the Austin Target, right? Or at the Target in St. Louis, or at the Target in Honolulu. It's the same everywhere. It's that comforting. So you can get that gift and you can give it to your niece and your nephew. Or you could redirect the flow of money in your life. And you could buy from a local Charlotte business. And you can keep your money in the economy that we all live in every single day. Mr. Target don't need no more cash, okay? I gave Mr. Target a lot of money. He's fine. Instead, you can redirect that flow of money to support your day-to-day Charlotte life. And you can get a unique gift that your niece or your nephew or your wife or your husband or whoever will actually appreciate instead of trashing. Don't get caught in the spending smog. Don't believe these lies that the smog is trying to tell you. Think about the power that you have. Think about the decisions that you can make to use your money to change the world.